This conference will now be recorded.
We only know about this because we live in a neighborhood that commissioner was good enough to tell us.
There you go. It was just for you. Welcome to our April special meeting with Town of Ocean Ridge. Kelly, could you take the roll, please?
Commissioner Ayala.
Here.
Commissioner Hutchins.
Here.
Commissioner Cassidy.
Here.
Vice Mayor Cos.
Here.
And Mayor Pugh.
Here. All right, stand for pledge allegiance. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, we have the commission agenda before us. Is there any deletions or modifications? All right, hearing none, anybody want to make a motion?
Can I add one, just a discussion of police on the beach?
Who?
Police on the beach.
Police on the beach.
Yeah, just a discussion, be quick.
Why not?
And could I add just a short discussion around budget, software training and that type of thing?
Sure. Police on the beach, number 5. Number 6, general budget discussion. All right, any other?
Nope.
Is there a motion?
Make a motion to approve agenda as amended.
Second.
Motion and second, any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. Public comment.
Wow.
Okay,
First,
moving on to regular agenda items. Approval of water service line replacement on North Ocean Boulevard. Billy, you want to give us a rundown, please?
Good afternoon, Mr. Mayor and Commissioners. On that ARPA water line project up there, as you see in the packets that are up there for you, I had noticed that some of the time back in November that only partial new lines were brought to the meters. We still left 60-year-old galvanized in certain sections up there, which to my knowledge and what I know is the town's responsibility because it is prior to the water meter. I had addressed it, kind of was left to leave it alone. And then there was an email sent out. It went to the city of Boynton. City of Boynton called me and wanted to know why this was done this way.
And I think, explain the property line, how that factors into it.
What the biggest issue people are aware or unaware of, we have right-of-way lines, property lines, FDOT's right-of-way. All water meters cannot be set in any right-of-way. They have to be set on private property. DOT will not allow a water meter to be set in their property. Just like our town, all our water meters are set up on your private property, not in the right-of-way of the town. And that's where the conflict came in, that people kept arguing that if it's on their property, it's their pipe. Once it leaves the water meter, after the water meter, it is the homeowner's responsibility. Up to that water meter, it's the town or the servicing an entity's job to supply that water to that water meter.
All right, well, this seems pretty self-explanatory, doesn't it?
Well, it's who's right, because Ingenuity maintains that they are not to go over the property line. But Boynton Beach has responded to Billy saying, no, it is Ocean Ridge's responsibility to get for all the pipe to the water meter, regardless of where the property line is. Is that right?
Yes, and so does FDOT, just as we did 60 Ocean Avenue, 18, 21, and 20 Ocean Avenue, which is all DOT's right away on either side. When they were there, the permit given, none of those meters can be in FDOT's right away. They have to be on the property. The other thing that comes in order to change any of that pipe prior to the water meter, whether it's on private property or not, it has to be a licensed underground contractor.
All right, let me cut
Yeah.
this short. So I build a new house.
Yep.
I put in a water meter.
Yes, sir.
The homeowner is not connected to our pipe.
No,
The city connects it to the water meter.
right.
And it's across the private property.
So the property line is in the right of way, right? Sometimes?
No, the meter is always on the customer's property, so we have to cross the property line of the homeowner to get to the meter. So if I'm building a new house, the town has to hook it up, and they go across the property line. So we should have fixed it. End of story.
And we need to have it clarified because we're going to start the next of several phases of doing this exact same thing. And now we're having to correct it for $22,000.
Yeah. Which should have been in the budget, the original
Should've.
budget in the first.
So we should
It
always
just
do
should have been done.
We
And
should
then
always do it.
Always do.
We should
It wouldn't have been
always done it.
22,000 if
I
it
got
was
a
part of the
question.
It
original.
may
plan.
not, but I'm saying, here we are now.
If your house was
And our
built,
engineer should,
if your house was built in 95, like my house was, what do you think the line from the meter to my house is?
In 95, generally it will be polyethylene.
So when you build a new house, they don't use an existing line. Well, no, there wasn't one.
Depends on now
That's okay.
all this new construction we're having put in. If they don't require an upgrade on a meter, say there's a 1-inch meter in their home, bath and beds accommodate a 1-inch meter, they stay with it. Now, if they have to put in an upgraded meter, say they go to a 2-inch meter, that is all liable on their cost, but they have to use a ground contractor, and that's all brand new pipe brought up because of the lead enactment that's gonna come in a couple years. That was another reason that all the galvanized should have been removed. And my biggest fear is I don't want you come to you or have to bring something to you in 6 months or a year from now and say, hey, we have a 2-inch water leak at midnight up there and we're blowing all kinds of water all over and we're gonna spend thousands and thousands of dollars to repair.
well,
it.
emergency repair is gonna cost $5,000-6,000. So that's one.
All of these connections are at multifamily.
Yes, they're all 2-inch water meters.
So imagine that breaking in the middle of the night. How many phone calls we get from those folks?
Yeah.
And in some of those pictures, you'll see a silver band. That silver band was already a leak in years past.
Mhm.
They cut it off right after the band and rehooked to it.
All right, so I guess we'll just have to talk to Lisa about this going forward during our next phase of,
Always
Yeah.
doing it.
so we'll do that. But in this particular case, it's kind of a fait accompli. We got to do it.
Well, the
Yeah, I would, it doesn't have to be done tomorrow, but it's something that we need to pay attention to and get this taken care of before we have a big issue once again.
So where are you taking the money from, Kelly? Contingency fund or from the general fund?
I would consider the contingency.
Contingency? Okay,
How much do we have left in the contingency, Kelly? Do you remember?
I did not bring that with me. Let me get a report real quick.
Sure.
You guys can move on, I have to get,
Okay.
get it printed.
all right, so public comment?
Just a question.
Go ahead.
So in the old days, when the meters are there, like my house is 52 years old, it's actually not on the right of way, but it's kissing my neighbor's meter
It's like, right,
right next to it, and it's right near where the pole is.
Right.
So it's past the right of way line.
Right.
But so that pipe from each of the houses, it's a plastic pipe, would be our responsibility. Because FPL keeps sending out
Yeah.
these things, these insurance things, you pay hundreds of dollars a month for insurance to fix a pipe that's,
Between the
maybe
meter and the
recommend- So that pipe, we are responsible for replacing if it breaks.
correct.
Okay.
But if you have a plastic one or a PVC,
Yeah, it's
you're in good
plastic.
shape.
For some reason, they came in years ago,
Remember
they did replace from the meter to the house with a fitting
Mhm.
for the, into the tap to the house. We have a shut off, right?
Yeah, the
visible.
main shut-off line.
Yeah, so someone could turn the water off in an emergency. Thank you.
All right. Anybody make a motion?
You want to wait for Kelly or want me to tell an anecdote?
All right, we'll wait for her to come back with the contingency fund.
This is just a story, nothing to do with the meeting. 2013, my leak in the kitchen, pipe broke underneath, within the, what do they call the base floor. Leaking all over the place. We went to dinner, came back, flooded kitchen, wicking up the walls, et cetera, et cetera. I had a neck brace on at the time. I had surgery a month earlier. Went to shut the damn house lever off. snapped off. So now I got water in the kitchen, water coming in the house, and water blowing out into the driveway. So I called Boynton, and Boynton sends this nice guy out. It's about midnight. He cannot find
The meter?
the meter. And the GPS shuts down at 9 o'clock at night in Boynton. So he had to come back at 7 in the morning. And the whole night we're sitting there with towels, drying the kitchen, trying to deal with this. And they found the meter out on A1A in Beachway.
Wow.
They finally found it. So they don't have the GPS precisely. Let's put it that way.
At least you know where your meter is now.
Yeah, I got flags. I spray painted it. I cut all the bushes. Look, next time you get on A1A, look at that corner on my property. You'll see blue flags, blue spray paint.
Neon sign with an arrow.
I got a PVC I painted blue.
My
Mr.
neighbor,
Mayor?
I think, is actually.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
I was just looking on Boynton's utility website, and they're going through an upgrade to an AMI system. Do you know if they're gonna roll that out for Ocean Ridge, Billy? They are? Okay.
What is that AMI system?
It's an advanced meter infrastructure system where, I think, do you guys have, are there radio reads right now?
Yes, I can generally, anybody that I suspect has a water leak on their home, I can call over there right now and find out if their usage is doubled, tripled within the last hour. That's what those are used for.
Yeah,
So
so
we can
it's,
see exactly what's happening, so we can help prevent what's happened to Mr. Cause.
Yeah.
Right there on that aspect.
So do they have an automatic system where if someone's water spikes, it
Yeah,
Yeah.
they'll
generates
notify.
it? They know-
I've had calls on that. Hey, we've seen a dramatic increase in the water.
Good deal.
Are they irrigating, have they done a pool, whatever, and we can at least contact the resident to find out what's going on, or whether they have a leak under their home or somewhere in the yard.
Sounds good. Kelly? Did you find out the number?
she's getting it run right now.
Uh-huh.
She's getting it run.
Okay.
Report, sorry. So the reason I asked about the AMI system is if Boynton's rolling that out, would we coordinate with them on perhaps putting in the advanced meters for these properties?
They are in the process of changing out meters right now. I think there's over 127 that they're presently working on.
In town?
Yeah.
Wow.
And that's where I'm finding certain things right now. I have 4 right now that what we call the curb stop, where you shut it off in the water meter to shut off to the home. Either they cannot be turned, or they're turning them and they're not shutting down properly. So I'm getting notified from Boynton that I have to contact Line Tech to come out and repair this, because that's our side of the meter.
Well, that's part of having our own water lines
Yes,
too.
it is. It is.
While we're on that, you and I were talking about the other day, while we're on the line tech subject,
Yes.
the hydrant flow issue that we've discussed, but doesn't seem to be alarming anybody.
It is me.
And me, Hudson Avenue, Pelican Cove, A1A. The town manager was very reluctant to consider turning off the water and having Line Tech go in and look where is the problem. But we need to do that, right? We need to turn the water off, go figure out what's happening and fix it, and then, have the water off for a few hours.
Well, I've been working very closely with Mark Atkins from Line Tech on
Mhm.
this. Supposedly, there is a road crossing from east to west, just north of Corinne Street. Nobody can locate it.
A road crossing?
Yes, it would go from the water line on the east side of the road to the west side of the road. Everything we have in town is a loop system.
Yeah.
Boynton doesn't know where it is. I've worked that whole south end with Line Tech, raising the valves, exercising. Every valve that we have encumbered over there is open. So what we've Mark said, that maybe one thing that we could do here soon would be GPR that area to see if there is a line. If there is a line, that's where we would start.
What's GPR?
Ground penetrating radar. They'll run a machine to see if they can find a line anywhere in that area crossing that road,
Just in case the blockage is in that.
in that line. we can't find valves. If we can't find the crossing, we can't find any valves on
We
it.
gotta know where it is at some point.
It
anyway.
shows it on our GIS, but we can't locate it anywhere.
So
What about the
you're
camera?
suspecting it's where that cross happens? That
It's
must be-
possible if the crossing's there. We don't know for sure 100% whether GIS is accurate. Boynton can't find it, because I work very close with Boynton. So that would be probably the least expensive way to start, find out if there is a line there or not.
Mhm.
If not, then we're probably would lead to start somewhere by, we call it number one Ocean Avenue. Take that line over to Hudson Avenue. That blockage we are believing could be somewhere in that area. But it's a very, time consuming or hard to figure it out. Just as that line, I'm suspecting is probably in a 60 to 70-year-old neighborhood as well. Because we've done some repairs on that line across from Pelican Cove, going across the street, and it is old, galvanized, and in poor shape. But if we can get it figured out and at least get flow back up to get the fire marshal and the fire chief happy,
Mhm.
then we could put that for a third or fourth project down the line.
Okay.
I
Yeah,
thought-
let's
I
go.
got a question.
Yeah,
Didn't we have a problem at Anna Street with a crossing water line that they dug up and they had a hard time finding it? I think they eventually did, but
I thought that was are you thinking about the stormwater project?
that was a stormwater project.
I thought they also included,
No, there is an 8-inch over on the east side that comes out of Anna and heads south. And that's what that crossing's supposed to go over, from the 8 to the 6 on the west.
Well, how about getting a budget for that? The ground penetrating
Yeah.
radar thing.
And like I said, I spoke with Mark. He's willing to come out and speak with all of us at a meeting, to kind of, because we've racked our brains, even the city of Boynton, trying to figure out
Mhm.
where to begin down there. And we had a meeting with Gary, I think some of you folks were on it,
Mhm.
and he was at a loss. So we've got to start somewhere.
Well, that's the least affected residents because they're not shutting anything off.
No, we wouldn't be shutting anything off at that point in time.
All right.
But still, we have 14 fire hydrants that are under flow, and that's concerning to me, just like it was years past.
Mhm.
To me, it's a priority.
I thought at one point there was a way they could put video that goes through the system.
We couldn't find a vendor that could do that
No.
in,
can't
in,
find anything.
in a pressurized pipe.
And when talked to Mark about pigging the line, he's scared to death to even try and do that, which would be put something like a rotor-rooter inside
Oh,
the
yeah.
line. But then if that's the case,
It
of
goes
that
through the
old
pipe,
steel
that would
line,
really stop.
there goes the pipe. We're done.
All right, well, let's start with the GP.
GPR, I'll get
Yeah.
a cost analysis on that and get with you folks on it.
All right.
Okay?
All right,
Thank
thank
you.
you.
Thanks.
How much, Kelly?
It looks like, because we budgeted 500,000, looks like we're at 282,000 right now.
So we've used 220 of it, and there's 280 left.
It's a motion.
Make a motion to approve the Line Tech proposal to removal of existing 2-inch galvanized pipes and convert them to 2-inch polyethylene water service connection points.
It's
Second.
paid for through the contingent.
Paid through to the,
Paid through contingency.
your second so good, Dave?
second, yeah.
And Mr. Mayor, just for clarification, I'm assuming we're doing this on an emergency basis because we need to do this ASAP? Or is it a best interest acquisition for purchases of?
I don't think it's not an emergency.
It's not an emergency. Now, as I stated, I did contact the original contractor that did this job last week and told him I need a quote as soon as possible, preferably by today, so I could present it. He never even turned in a quote.
Well,
So it's a best interest
in the
acquisition.
case that it could be a potential emergency, we say today we're not doing it, tomorrow guaranteed, one of those is gonna
Right.
break, and then
Yep.
all hell's gonna break.
Okay,
So,
You're right.
so either as best interest acquisition or
Yeah.
emergency purchase would be allowed in our procurement code.
and which one would you suggest? Best interest?
It sounds like an emergency.
Yeah, it sounds like an emergency, right?
Sounds like an emergency to me.
All right,
Do we need to attach that to the motion?
As long as we're all clear on it, that's fine.
all right, all, public comment? All right, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. All right, discussion of the fiscal year 26 budget goals.
So what I did was, I'm sure she started it somewhere, but I could not find it. So I kind of made a list off of, I went through the past years that we've done, capital plan, or capital improvements, I should say.
I thought this looked familiar. I'm like, wait a minute, I think didn't I see this before?
Good to see you.
Yeah, I went over it with Billy, kind of things that had still need to be done, still maintain ongoing kind of stuff, and I just put it in there. To see where you guys stood on wanting to do some of this. I kind of use the same information. I'm sure we'll have to go get updates on some of the stuff. Just didn't know which one's more important for you guys. I know as far as departments, I know the chief was compiling a list of the things that he wanted. I'll go over that with you. As far as admin, the only thing that we're looking to get, and it's not even really a capital thing, is we want a postage meter. So,
All right.
nothing major.
Well, Carolyn, when you'll take the lead on this? Because
Sure.
you suggested a meeting, I figured you'd have a good handle to start.
I didn't.
You reminded us of the meeting.
Oh, I reminded you. Well, I can start with, from the engineering perspective, having met with Lisa last week, and I think you all saw this memo that she
Mhm.
circulated with kind of where things stand and what's ongoing. In connection with our appropriation request, they're continuing work on the engineering part of that segment of the water main replacement, and they're about 30% complete, which is great. And we're going to get on a call with our lobbyists later this week on that. And I also got from our lobbyist, which number 9 on here, the Hudson Avenue seawall, we had budgeted $750,000. And they got this proposal for us for like living shoreline. It accomplishes the same thing as a seawall as far as flood control and, waves and king tides. But this proposal, I wanted to go over it with Lisa and see what she thought. I didn't know, are we stepping on her toes? How can we get any grants associated with this? She looked over it. She's familiar with all the people involved, and it's a $425,000 proposal. And she said it looks great. So we're going to get on the call with our grant writer later this week too.
Is that 425 instead of 750?
Instead of 750.
Didn't
Pretty
we
good.
have a grant that came in or was supposed to come in on Hudson, the seawall? Remember?
We had applied for one and we didn't get
We
it.
didn't get it.
For half, yeah.
But we didn't have a plan. This is a plan. So
And can you briefly, just what is a living seawall? I never heard of it.
it's,
Riprap?
no, it's not riprap. Nope.
Barnacles?
No.
Sheepdogs?
I'll send it all to you. I mean,
Okay, I
I have
was
to-
genuinely curious. Sounds cool.
Is it?
They're pretty cool, yeah.
Yeah.
I've seen some stuff on them.
yeah. And she's worked with this firm, Cummins Cedarburg.
Mhm.
And then they're also working with Chen Moore and Associates. If you remember, they were the other vendor who provided us a proposal for our comp plan. That's Aaron Deedy.
So you want to bring it to our next meeting?
Sure.
General meeting?
Sure.
Carolyn, is it a proven technology that's been
Mhm.
around for a while? Okay,
Yeah.
great. Sounds
Yeah.
super.
So that's kind of exciting. They're continuing to work on all of the items that she listed. Our MS4 permit, I think, working with you too, right? And FDOT projects.
I thought we got the easements. Are we close to getting those
Yeah, are
easements?
we close on that?
Christie?
We have to go back to them, the one property owner, and I don't know that we have an easement description or survey yet to finalize it, but the one property owner had indicated that she would be agreeable to it if we allowed for landscaping and a fence. I don't know what the status is with the other property owner.
We did speak with him and he's willing to do it. We just had to get the correct verbiage in the agreement to him. And
So who does correct verbiage?
kind of, it's like a collaboration between Lisa and Christie. I know they did the survey for it.
Okay.
They have completed the survey, so I have not received that yet, but I know it is in the works.
So are we
So-
week close or 2 week close?
I would say give us about 2 weeks.
2 weeks? Okay.
And then as far as their landscape plan, who comes up with that? Do they just present to us what needs to be
They actually
replaced?
had a landscape plan when they got their home originally approved for development. It has expired since then, but they said they weren't gonna change anything. So I already have that plan. Lisa's looked at it and she didn't see any issues with it. So,
Okay. And what about the rest of these other projects on Kelly's page?
You talking this one?
Yeah, we're thinking about putting any of these in the,
Well,
budget-
it's
budget
kind of
coming up?
difficult unless we know
Yeah,
the priority. How do we value them? You know what I
well,
mean?
something to start thinking about, because
Yeah.
like you say, I'd love to see what we already know
Like
about.
the town hall AC units, wasn't that on a 5-year rotation?
Mhm.
So that's a done deal, right?
Yeah, and I think in the key seawall maintenance, I thought we already did that.
I did too.
I don't know if any of this was included with our grant application for town hall hardening, which is still not decided. So that's going to be another question that I have for the grant
Okay.
later this
That's
week.
on, that's on the transition plan. That's one of the items on here.
Hey Kelly, do you know the answer to Jeff's question? Did we accomplish or Billy might know,
I think
Inlet K Island pipe grouting?
That's usually ongoing every year. There's always something going on that island, whether it's, catch basins that have to be refurbished. The duckbills that go on the,
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's a constant
But
ongoing on
It's
that
$45,000. That sounds like to do the project versus maintaining it.
That's what Lisa generally put in that budget. That's what I work with.
Yeah.
Whether I spend it all or not, then it goes back to, finance or the budget part. If I need money, I ask how much is in there, can I get this project done? Just like this year, I know Lisa did the seawalls on either side of Inlet K.
Yeah.
yep, that was
I
that.
know I
11.
added some dirt on one side, the south side, to build a berm to help the ridge from getting water in there. Injection, stuff of that nature along the seawall. I think maybe I use some of the money on some of our other areas that have storm drains or pipes that are leaking where I've injected them to plug the holes, so we quit getting infiltration and sinkholes.
All right, but some of this stuff is really discussion on during the budget process, whether,
Yeah.
what's our main, if you had a main goal
Water
besides the
pipes.
water
Water
pipe?
main.
Water pipes.
Water
Water.
pipe and water pipe, right?
Yeah.
That's gonna cost all our money, so
Whatever money we have
Yeah,
left.
we have
whatever money you have left,
critical
you can
stuff
do the
is-
rest of it.
We have a goal.
Kelly, was this, I wasn't sure I understood. These 11 items, were they on the list from last year that didn't make it to the budget? or-
they were on the list of the previous 2 years. that
2 years,
either
yeah.
Things we haven't addressed yet.
But they
or
haven't been
haven't
addressed.
carried
yet. So
over,
these
yeah.
didn't make it into
Some of them, yeah.
our budget.
They're just like ongoing ones.
They're revolving.
Because I thought the Hudson Avenue seawall one wasn't.
I thought that was on the budget, yeah.
It
But I
was
think it was contingent upon getting the grant.
the grant, yeah. And that's why I kept it in there saying that.
So we had like half of it in the budget and we thought half of it was gonna get picked up. But if we had 375 in the budget, and if this new
Yeah.
living thing is only 4 something, we already have, but, so what happens to the amount that was in the budget for this year that we
You
did not
guys have to
spend?
carry it over.
Okay, so.
For
we
that
need to-
project.
Yeah, we need to go through, so it could be on the Hudson Avenue seawall. We
Throw
might
in
only need
$50,000.
$75,000 or something to actually do the living seawall without a grant. Yeah. So
we're
we
gonna
need
get-
to get through and check all that stuff.
I'm a little troubled with the living seawall concept. I mean, it sounds good, but is it good? So I
We'll
would really
find-
appreciate getting some,
Yeah, we'll find out.
yeah,
Me
because
too, yeah.
it might look pretty and it might be environmental, but
So this
That'll work.
list here, like tropical pump station infiltration backflow, $50,000 versus inlet K piping grout, $45,000. It's impossible for us to make a decision without having Lisa here, right? Or some-
Right, and see, in the Inlet K pipe routing, a lot of it's already been done.
Right.
It's a constant thing. So as I'm saying, this list is kind of unfortunately not,
Yeah, so who can take,
It's
who
small.
can run with that?
it's small, yeah.
Who
But the
can
biggest
take
thing is the
this?
water pipe, costs us all.
Right.
I can
So
get
what-
with Lisa and see
Can you
Yeah.
work with Lisa to just go through these items and figure out what did we do, what didn't we do, what's left?
Yeah, we're gonna need
And
this.
I'm
for
happy
budget
to
anyway.
sit with you too.
Okay.
Billy, well,
Yes, ma'am.
she did ask me to ask you the exercising of the valves by Line Tech that you mentioned. Do we have a report from them yet?
No.
When do we expect that?
I should be getting a halfway, probably a 50% report here, I would hope in the next couple of 3 weeks. At this point in time, we have not had any issues of valves not opening and closing properly.
So
Hallelujah.
50, you said 50%, that means 50% of them are done,
Of the
or?
town, we have made it to Ocean Avenue from the south end of
Okay.
town. And at this point in time, we haven't had, I don't even want to say it, a bad one, okay?
Yeah, no kidding.
But that should be something that we're gonna bring up, or I will propose in the budget. This should be an annual exercising, so we don't get into a point that we haven't exercised the valve in another 5 years.
And what about the fire hydrant exercises? What are you doing with that?
I do those every year.
Okay, good deal.
They're flowed.
We
and
started
the
that, what,
valve
a few
is
years
ago?
exercised.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I got a curious question.
yes,
I
sir.
noticed when I go on my walk, somebody has added gold discs.
Yes, sir.
What are those?
Those tell me what that valve is, what that valve does, and how many turns to close that valve.
Wow.
Wow.
Have you seen them? They're about this big, and you'll have the big,
Like a brass
opening.
plaque?
No, it's gold.
No, it's a brass
Brass, yeah.
tag.
I mean, if solid
It
gold,
looks
I don't
gold.
think we'd have solid
No,
gold.
but it's
If we have
shiny.
solid
It's
gold,
very
he's
shiny.
gonna put that in the paper and everybody's gonna out there shipping
And I,
them.
And they're mounted about that deep in the asphalt. You'll see them in the asphalt, or you'll see them in the concrete.
there's a lot of them,
Every valve in town will have one. of those.
witnessed them.
right?
And it lets me know whether it's an 8, a 10, a 6, and what it takes to get them closed. So if you walk up to one, and we'll just use this as a reference, it's supposed to have 14 turns to close it.
Yeah.
And you're only getting 7, we have a bad issue with that valve in the
Gotcha.
ground.
Thank you.
That's good.
Yeah.
All right. So we need to do any more of the
Who's this?
budget goals?
We just
Do you have
give
anything
me.
else?
But this is from chief.
That's mine, so you just have a copy. I had it here, so that's on you. I wanted you to see it as well when you asked me.
So about the CAD system, I didn't meet with, when I was in Tallahassee, the lobbyist and I had a conference call with Lynn and Courtney, talking about there was proposed legislation that was going to try to have all dispatch go to the county level, like get rid of our dispatch. And of course, we don't want that, and most municipalities don't want that unless they're already doing it that way, or unless they're contracted with PBSO. But it is going to come back. So the whole issue of interoperability, this all came out of Parkland, the school shooting several years ago, that there has to be this ability to intercommunicate with everybody. So I want to sit down with you and Courtney at some point and talk.
Does
about
home
that.
rules stop that from happening?
What?
Would home rules stop that from happening? Going countywide?
Everything's anti-home rule up there. You know it? Yes.
And that's just.
That's what we argue for.
The computer-aided dispatch is just the software that we use for, the dispatchers use to get the calls out to the officers and the officers,
Mhm.
communication. And the vendor that we have is a small vendor we got years ago. And our fear is that they're going to, Manalapan is in the market too for a new vendor. And if they bail and we get stuck and they go under, we don't want to be behind. We want to lose our data, or we want a well-known vendor that is going to be there for years to come.
Yeah, and I think, but the issue is
Right, if they're gonna-
communicating with
if-
different agencies. So
Right.
with the county, with Boynton, with,
In our new radio system, we do have communication with, I think 5 agencies are on our radio system right now, the surrounding agencies, and we have with Sheriff's Office, Helicom, too.
Did you get the crosswalk light signs yet? I thought you ordered them.
No,
What do we
we're
get?
down to 2, and I'm gonna give, once we decide on one, I'm gonna give that to our private funder, Starbright, and they're gonna,
Put the lights,
I'm ready to
flashing
go.
lights in the crosswalk. Not the big, huge monster ones, little.
Like they have in Delray?
No.
They look the same as the pedestrian sign you see,
Mhm.
Small LED
except they have
lights.
little bitty LEDs that will flash on it.
It's like the one at the
Draw your
B&T.
attention.
Down at Delray. Yeah, on A1.
It's not
It's
that
bright.
huge monster one that's like, you can see from space.
Yeah.
When are we getting those?
If we decide which one we want this week, I can tell them. We're gonna sample two, see how they work and look. We can do them here or down the road. And if we like them, everybody's in agreement, we can replace them all.
Testing.
Once we replace them, they're ours though. We'll keep the old FDOT signs, but if something happens, we have, it breaks, we have to replace it. But we have to take that over from DOT.
So all this would be part of, we should save all these pieces of paper for budget.
Yeah, this is called wish list stuff.
But for instance, study the increased vehicular and pedestrian traffic.
That's
like
like
a
one of
goal.
my goals,
Yeah,
and
that's a goal.
if they add static cameras that I can, private funding for that as well. And then increase the overtime budget with additional officer for increased visitors to town.
I get that as my discussion point at the end.
Seasonal, right?
Yeah.
And,
But don't want to steal your thunder.
I'll discuss it now if you want. I don't care.
Whatever. You could do, yeah, why not? Keep for budget.
Well, you want to start it now? Okay.
Go ahead.
So I'm very simple, and I'm totally open to anybody's suggestions. So the police on the beaches work fabulously. It's incredible what your officers have accomplished. There's no more dogs on the beach. The behavior, everyone that's, at least in our beach, you guys might have different experiences. We have no misbehaving, no scream matches, no fights, no anything going on. It's just utter peace. It's wonderful. And the spring breakers come in, they're wonderful. We've had no issues whatsoever. And it's due to the police presence. They, like walking down the beach, anybody on the beach has probably seen them a lot. They park and they talk to the spring breakers. It's more of a community policing, and it lessens the temperature and all that. It's very good. The dog issue, we voted that we don't want dogs on the beach. They're taking care of that at a tremendous rate. The spring break, what we've discovered is the first, what are we in, April? The middle of March was the beginning of the college spring break, right around there. First 2 weeks were a tremendous amount of people on the beach. One of your officers told me he'd never seen so many people on the beach. And the police presence started then, and it took care of any possible bad behavior extremely well. And now it's petered off. So the question is, when we get to the budget session, how long do we need this presence during spring break? I'm open to canceling it for Easter weekend, which sounds kind of crazy, and putting cars maybe up where people are dropping off instead of the guy on the beach. But you're the expert.
I had it running through Easter weekend.
Through Easter?
Right.
It's been pretty.
Yeah, they said last weekend they didn't encounter, I think, two dogs.
Yeah.
We did write a citation this morning for the first $100 fine.
Wow. Resident?
I'm not sure if they were resident or not.
If it was, we'd know, I
How
guess.
they feel when they got that?
I wasn't there, I can ask them.
Oh, no.
So I don't know how everyone feels if you want to, because it's overtime. And from what I've seen it, and anybody else speak up who's been to the beach, things have quieted down nicely. Spring break is over, and now it's the high schoolers that are going.
Steve, can I ask you what time you base your analysis, your beach traffic?
9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, and 4:30 to 6:30.
Yeah, see, a little bit earlier in the day, especially at sunrise, there are occasionally, but you've done a good job, Chief. There still
Well,
are people that
But I don't
insist,
think
Road patrol
insist
does
on
as
taking
well.
their dogs on the beach.
Well, what time does your patrol start?
The specific that you wanted for the spring break
Yeah.
and the crowds were from 12 to 6.
Right.
And then, but I do have the officers in the morning, like you did this morning, on the ATV, and that's when we encountered the person this morning.
Good.
Like I said, we
Much better.
never stopped ATV patrols. We did one patrol per shift,
Mhm.
but they're not, it's just a drive down the beach, and if they encounter something, but, with the extra patrol, we're concentrating on different areas, and they're staying there.
They're like community people. They stop and chat with the various groups of people. It's a great thing. If you want to save money, I don't think you need them on Easter, at anybody's view. It sounds ridiculous to cancel on Easter weekend, but things are quieted down.
I think if it's already in the budget,
Go for it.
I'd leave it for this Easter.
Okay.
I mean,
And we'll
Just in
know
case.
how it is.
But is that still, still affecting us? You know, with the lack of, you know, one on the beach and taking too
No,
much
because
time.
I'm supplementing with.
You're
with
supplementing
bringing
with-
in an extra for overtime for 6 hours for the 12 hours in 2 days.
Well, during the budget process, you're gonna bring to us opening up
Right,
that other
that's what my
position,
goal is,
right? The other
Yeah,
position
that's-
you got still closed?
Well, no, we don't have any closed right now. We're full.
All right, so you're gonna fill it. We're gonna bring it up during the budget,
Sure.
create another
So
position.
we just have to know the calendar dates of when we need this.
Right.
So I've got one crosswalk question. We're talking about crosswalks that are off the street as opposed to the middle of,
Correct, on either side.
just wanted to clarify. Beautiful.
Okay, so,
One more budget
Go
thing I
ahead.
think we need to talk about. Maybe it's premature, we'll wait till we get to the town manager, but I do think, given that the consultant that we had worked with, who moved to Georgia
Yeah.
to work on finance, he's been ineffective or non-effective, whatever. I think we should look into getting someone
Well, let's let him
Like-
get through 2024 closed though,
contractual basis, yeah.
absolutely.
right?
Because all the
I
town
I feel
managers
like
have,
that's one total conversation about new town manager. What does our finance staff need to look like? Who's up, who knows, understands the budget
Yes.
software? That's kind of a,
Yep.
that's what I
all
want.
right, so we'll do that.
But after we talk about town manager.
Right,
All right, so let's move on to the AV equipment purchase, or not.
yes, I did a little research. After getting that very costly proposal shown to us at the
1,500
last
change
meeting,
per meeting?
per meeting, plus $60,000 to install.
Yeah.
So I've gone to the meetings, and
25,000.
I've gone to the meetings in Manalapan and Gulfstream, and they have the screen and they use team meetings. So I went down and talked to the town clerk at Gulfstream. She said what they use, they contract with, they did an RFP at one point, and Kelly knows a bit about this too. Inuvo is the company that they work with. She gave me the guy's name and the phone number, and they set them up with the cameras and the screens that they need. And what the clerk does during the meetings is she does go to webinar, and then she records the whole thing and posts it to YouTube. And that way there, and you see people who are not there, their faces up on the screen too. They don't
So like a
actually,
commissioner that's not there or a presenter, not necessarily residents,
Right.
but.
right, not residents, no. But she said, we don't live stream it, but you do have the capability to do that. So that, Janet Shines had texted me right after the meeting and said, we gotta talk about this. This is crazy. You don't need a television station there.
Yeah.
You need a service for your
NFL
meetings.
quality
Yeah.
television.
So anyway,
So did they give you any idea how much?
no, but I
this
have the
budget
guy's
charges?
number.
Okay, because apparently when we put it out to bid, nobody bid. Maybe we just went to the wrong places.
Maybe we did go to
We
the
didn't
wrong
bother talking to
places.
any other towns.
Maybe we didn't talk to other towns.
So I've got a question. We record all this, and ordinarily, our town clerk would be writing things down and putting it in the minutes.
Well, no, she records the whole meeting, the audio, not the visual.
But so what I'm getting at is, can the audio be automatically transcripted, or would that be really expensive?
There are apps to do that.
Yeah, I mean.
What's
the software
Otter?
does
Is that the app? Yeah.
But
there's-
that way, there'd be no doubt in anybody's mind, people could, boom. it's
can
Well,
there, right?
this
You can watch
goes
it on
back to,
YouTube
do
or
we
listen
want,
to it.
this
Well, you
isn't
can
for
listen on
minutes,
YouTube
though.
right now,
It's,
live.
we
Yeah,
don't
yeah.
do talking
Right,
minutes
live.
anymore. We
You do
do
live on
action
YouTube?
minutes.
Absolutely.
Intentional.
Really?
Yeah.
Maybe that gets us
I
better.
didn't know that.
I thought it was
Don't they
yeah,
tell you all the
call it
time, say
phone.
what they were
Yes,
talking
but
about?
we do have it recorded if someone wants to go listen to the
That's
recording.
Okay.
Yeah, but this way they'll be able to see it too.
That's so they can go to and listen to it live while it's happening.
Wait,
Yeah.
are you listening to it on YouTube?
No,
It will
you're,
be on the YouTube. Once the recording is done, then I
Right.
upload it to YouTube.
So what's the
So they're
system
all
we're
there.
currently using where you can listen live?
Go to meeting.
Go to meeting.
Mhm.
but you can do it with the cameras
But
too.
by the way, are
Just
we
need-
But it's on-
committed
it's on
to
the
having
website, which
a
then
video?
links to YouTube.
I don't have a problem with what we currently have if it can be enhanced.
I think we need to have video if we're gonna allow commissioners to, I think it's more effective if we can tie in by video if we're away. I would like to see video. It's not- it
So
doesn't
other
cost
than the phone
anything.
call, so I guess really what you're saying is, other than the phone call, where you're on the phone, the commissioner's on the phone, you just have a commissioner on the
Yeah.
video.
So they're
But we wouldn't be
actually
doing it all the time, video all the time.
It's
No,
much
but
more
you can do that.
productive than having Kelly hold the phone up when one of us is away to
No,
the
no.
microphone. I
We
mean,
would
it
get
just-
the audio straightened out, but do you really think it makes a difference if somebody's looking at your mug
Makes a huge
versus
difference.
hearing your voice?
Yeah, it absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
GoToMeeting and Zoom accomplish the same thing.
Yeah.
It's live, you see.
Right.
All right, so who's gonna look into the,
I'm already
you
on
looking
it.
at,
Yeah.
all right?
So we'll get a quote from whoever
Mhm.
that is. So-
So Christie, we can thank the gentleman for coming and doing all that, but I think that's way over our
Yeah.
small town
Scope
More
of
than
what we need.
Yeah.
needs.
Yeah.
Okay.
But thank you for
One,
that.
one thing maybe to consider is, depending on the quote you get, is to look at the two for bringing the system up to whatever standard we need. Because he did provide two quotes, one for upgrading the system and installing the new equipment, and then the other videography services. Obviously, the videography services are not desired, but we could compare quotes, certainly.
All right. Well, you look into yours and then we'll
Mhm.
figure that after we move on to the town manager thing.
Yeah.
All right. Speaking of that, discuss
Yeah.
regarding the town manager position. Everybody got the,
Yep.
agreement?
Mhm.
And Mrs. Heiser's, action plan?
You want to update the public?
What's that?
You want to update the public?
She said she wants to be called
Update to
Michelle.
who? Oh, yeah. Oh, my, who? So we did have one-on-one meetings with a prospective town manager, interim town manager. Her name is Michelle Heiser. And she actually applied to the position before, but withdrew the last time we went out for a town manager. She came in, we had one-on-ones with her this past week. An evaluator, and I found her to be very pleasant and very knowledgeable, extremely good resume. And she has provided us, or the town attorney has provided us with an interim town manager agreement. And also, Mrs. Heiser provided us with an interim town manager proposed 90-day action plan. And we should put this out after we're done with the meeting so everybody can have a copy of it. It's pretty detailed. So do you guys, what's your pleasure, the commission? Because you see what Christie said about the money and what
Yeah.
Heiser wants.
I don't have, can we clarify something? I asked her this question. She said she wanted to be called Michelle Lee Berger.
So which one is it?
Professionally, even though she got married in 2023, in the town management circle, she's known as Berger.
Yeah, but she said Michelle Heiser, interim town manager, proposed 90-day action plan.
Okay.
So,
Did anybody else
so
ask the other question?
professionally, she goes by Michelle Lee Berger, because that's how everybody knows her, but she has legally changed her name. So from a legal standpoint, that's
Contracts.
what's on her contract.
She can tell us when.
Okay, Christie, so which one are we calling her? Heiser or Berger? Berger or Heiser? Or Berger Heiser?
Berger. Sounds like Breaking
If
Bad.
you're inclined to hire her, she'll probably tell you, call her whatever you want, but, she could certainly clarify if she prefers Berger.
She told me Berger. Anyway, I have no problem with her. I thought she was terrific. The interview went extremely well. The one thing I would like added to this contract is a paragraph which I talked to Christie about. The one thing that she said I'm only going to be interim up to 5-6 months, but she was going to a very important meeting in Tallahassee or Orlando. I suggested Carol go with her. She said that would be fine. This is a town manager and city manager meeting convention. And she said she knew a ton of people up there and she could basically find us a permanent town manager at that convention. So I just wanted it in her contract that we would pay for her to go to the convention and that she would attend the convention, because I don't want her to cancel out of that convention, because that is more important than the interim town manager.
Yeah, she seemed pretty confident that there'd be some good candidates that she could.
Yes, but I want to make sure it's in the contract, that's all. That she knows we're paying and she goes.
So, Mr. Mayor, if I may, maybe to back up a little bit for the public, so we can catch them up to speed on where we're at with this. I can give you a little background information from a legal standpoint. So, the town is able to hire an interim without going through a process for up to 6 months, as long as that's not with any benefits offered. So the proposed agreement that you have in front of you is an interim agreement, Ms. Berger, Ms. Heiser, whatever you want to call her, for up to 6 months. It's a flat monthly rate with no benefits. The proposed rate that's written in there is essentially the fully loaded rate that the town was paying Lynn Wagner at the time she resigned. So there's no increase to the town, it's just continuing to make that payment for the next up to 6 months. The town has, through the Florida retirement system, an issue that it runs into if you temporarily employ someone longer for 6 months and you have to start paying benefits. So the way this process looks like from a legal standpoint is that we can do an interim agreement, knowing that the town is going to have to go out with some type of formal process to hire the permanent manager. What Ms. Berger offered in her interviews was that she wants to, envisions right now, doing the interim gig and is planning to go to the city-county manager association meeting in Orlando later in May, and would help to sort of talk about the town and try to recruit interested candidates that she felt would be a good fit for the town. So she has offered to do that, and so after talking with Commissioner Cox today, I put in a draft agreement, some language that she would attend that conference and would engage with potential candidates about the town and the town's desire to hire a permanent manager. So what we need to talk about probably in another meeting is the process going forward and how we envision doing that. But to get the groundwork going, to get someone in to handle the next, however, up to 6 months, this is the proposed agreement to get us there. Based on the interviews last week, I've prepared this so that, you have the ability to say yay or nay, start that process, and we can go from there. So hopefully that brings everybody up to speed.
Yep. And if I read the contract right, we can terminate at any time. She has to give 30 days notice.
Correct.
And it's for up to 6 months
Up to
because of
6
all the
months.
issues
Right,
you
correct.
talked about. State.
All that's really occurred in this versus a permanent contract is all the benefits are given to her as salary, basically.
Right.
Because we can't give her benefits. So I have no problem with the money number.
And if I can say, one of the things that impressed me about her during my interview is I had that sheet that Lynn had put out, which everybody's seen, but I said, will you look through this and tell me what you would do with it? She indicated to me, as I understood it, that she would be able to accomplish everything on there, and some of it should have already been done, but that she could take care of it. And I said, golden, that's, looks like she can set the town straight, even though she may not be with us forever.
Yeah.
At least we've got things going in the right direction. And I think the idea of one of us, probably you, Carolyn, because you like to travel, going up to that convention with her might be a good thing.
We have to pay for Carolyn too.
Yeah, we would.
I've looked at her expenses there. They seem reasonable.
I really like how she described her leadership style.
Yeah.
And delegating and really supporting her staff.
Right.
And
It was great.
yeah, and working with the commission. She served as a commissioner herself in Port St. Lucie.
Yeah.
And she's been a town manager, so she's seen both sides. And yeah, thought she was great.
I thought her view on the type of kind of customer service culture,
Yeah.
et cetera, was kind of just the right tone. She believed in residents being delighted with their experience that they have with the town, which I think is a great
Yeah.
standard.
I love the answer she gave when I asked her management style. And she looked at me, I said, collegiate, and all these buzzwords you hear. She goes, no, I'm the boss. End of story.
Well, the biggest question I thought was the definitive answer she gave to the finance person. And she said, you need to hire an outside finance, and it has to be an outside, because no town manager, it's very, very rare that a town manager is going to know everything, the inside and out of financing, and be able to do the rest of the job. And I thought it was very, very clearly, has been our problem for 3 town managers or 4 town managers now.
So hopefully she can help us
Yeah,
find some of them.
I didn't hear her say, I don't know what you mean by outside, but I heard her say, we need to have a finance resource,
Right.
either on staff or an external person that we contract with. That's the discussion that I had with her. Did you hear something
Yeah,
different?
because they said, well, this is a small town, the amount of money we would have to pay to have an inside employee do finance would almost be cost prohibitive for an outside company that would actually not have to be here every day and still can do the same
Yeah,
job.
But what-
I mean, but that's a financial decision
Right.
for us based
Yeah.
on, and depending on who our ultimate town manager is, some have a little more finance capability, some have a little less. So if we had somebody that was a little stronger in finance, we might be able to have someone on staff that was less horsepower, and I think it could work.
She would need to get in here and delve into everyone's roles.
Yeah, and see what capabilities we
Yeah,
have
she
on
promised
staff.
that she was gonna do an evaluation.
Yeah, for sure.
I thought that
Help
was,
us figure out what our gap analysis is.
Yep.
but she was doing an evaluation of the entire staff. Like,
She might have said she'll be the boss, but she also said that she would reach out to all employee groups.
Yep.
And let them know that
very professional answers.
they'd have her undivided attention, which I think's good.
Yeah, no, I was.
Yeah, I believe we could say we're all pretty impressed.
Can she start at the 14th, the 15th?
I will certainly find out. I know she had a meeting this afternoon, but as soon as we're done here, if the desire is to move forward with the contract, if you can give me authority to finalize it based on her going to the ICCMA conference, and then authorization for the mayor to sign, we will get her on board as soon as possible.
So what do you need, a motion?
Oh, yeah, definitely need a motion.
So the motion would be, I make a motion to hire Michelle Lee Berger Heiser as interim town manager, commencing as soon as possible at the salary in the contract.
Yeah, subject to the
Second.
contract with maybe the modification around going to the conference.
Okay, motion is second. Public comment.
I once had the title manager, so it was in the state system. But it sounds like this person does not want the job full-time. So, and when you do the evaluation, you said you did an evaluation of her, which sounds great. But when you do an evaluation for your more permanent appointment, how far do you go? I'm not trying to be cute, because I know you can't go into background that's personal or confidential. But what kind of background checks do you do in terms of financial problems, not psychiatric problems? We'd like to have all of them pass the psychological test. But I really think that there need to be a more thorough background of the people.
More
you hire
comprehensive.
permanently.
Yeah.
And recommendations. Now, a lot of old bosses won't say bad things
Right.
because they don't want to get sued or whatever, but there's a way to find out really how people will perform. And we did that in the state system even. And oftentimes you would find out that something they put on the application wasn't exactly true. And you had to deal with that by getting rid of it. So that was just my comments.
Thank you.
Christie, is there any restriction in this state around doing background checks?
No, but I'm gonna defer to Laura Donlin in our office. She really is our labor and employment. But I think what the next step will be is talking with Michelle about her thoughts on how to go through that process in the best possible way of accomplishing that. And I think she's gonna probably be, along with Laura in our office, your subject expert on perhaps the best way of finding your next permanent town manager.
Any other public comment? All right, hearing none, back to the commission. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. All right,
Good work. I
Painter?
thank Christie for.
Yeah,
joining us
thank you,
Yeah.
Christie.
yeah.
With what is going to be a great candidate, I think. Who knows, maybe we'll convince her to.
So for all the public, it was Chrissy's recommendation, so if anything happens, you know who to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember reading about the woman, and all of a sudden she disappeared.
Yeah, she went in the private sector, created her own gold company.
Yeah, it was
Yes,
pretty
got her own
impressive
gig.
resume.
Yeah.
Tanner?
By the way, do you know the job that her husband has?
He's a
The new town
firefighter.
manager?
What's that?
The new town manager.
Yeah.
He's got a company. Do you know what that company was? It's really interesting.
Mm-mm.
He, for mega yachts, the super big, gazillion-dollar yachts, he's the only certified person in the United States. They go and train crews on what to happen in emergency situations, including like if somebody dies and you're on a 3-week cruise, how do you treat the body and all that kind of stuff.
But they do.
He's the only guy that does that, yeah.
Wow.
He flies all over the world, goes to Monte Carlo and all these places. Isn't that cool? Yeah. Anyway, there you go.
There you go.
I had wanted to talk about the budget process. Last year was a painful process, as all the commissioners can attest to. Part of the reason that it was a painful process is because it was our first year through with that budget software. Now, I'm not familiar with this budget software, okay? But most budget software, when you're going through your second year, it pre-populates with what was already in the system. And then it's much easier to do your second budget because you're kind of managing to changes, because we usually don't have a whole lot of new categories. It's usually just bring it forward and then how much does it have to increase or does it get eliminated or whatever. I've asked Kelly, how many people on the staff right now are fully familiar with the budget software, and I think it's somewhat less than one.
Oh, God.
Yeah, closer to 0. So what we're gonna need to do is, we'll obviously have an interim manager coming in, but she's probably not going to wanna roll up her sleeves and be running budget software. So I have volunteered to work with Kelly and get trained up a little bit on this budget software so that we won't be flying blind this time and
Is that the
get us
BSA?
through.
Yeah.
Yeah, the BSNA, right?
There's really no one that's fully competent right now?
Jean and Lynn were the ones that dealt with the financial portion of it mostly. Each of the department heads put our own invoices in, but that's pretty much
Wow.
the extent of it.
When I asked Lynn if Jean could handle the process, she said no. So, but
Okay.
I have no personal knowledge of it, but, I don't want to be left bare around that. So I'd suggest that we use someone from BSE to come in and train up at least Jean, maybe Kelly, and I'll sit in on the process.
Okay, great.
So that we can at least this time, have the process that moves around. If you guys would prefer I not do that, that's fine too.
Does that work for you,
It's not like
Kelly?
I don't have other things to do.
I'm fine with
That's
that.
great idea.
Can you set that up?
So, Christy, in your conversations with Michelle, she knows we're going into budget season in a couple months.
Yeah.
Is she adamant that we need to get somebody else on board to help with that? Okay.
So I think between her and some of the smaller towns that we utilize that have outside finance people, we can probably put together a list of potential vendors and how different ones work and what might be the best fit for.
Yeah,
the
I know
town.
that that's what Gulfstream does. I can't remember the name of the guy. It was a long name, but they call him CFO, but he's,
Yeah.
yeah.
I had a pretty deep conversation with her about it. I met with her like an hour and 20 minutes, and she said she manages the process, but she's not the one running the software. There's always been someone else running the software, and she would say, here's what I'd like to do, and then they would do it and give her a report or whatever. So we're missing that.
She told me what Chris
Person.
is saying. There are these individuals out
Sure.
there that handle more than just ocean rates. They handle 3 or 4 clients. And she said they're extremely great. And then it costs a little more than we'd expect, but she said they're worth every penny.
Yeah, and so we need to figure out what we have on staff that maybe we don't need, or maybe we have the perfect staff right now, and we just have to have that person. But we kind of need to do that analysis.
All right, that sounds good.
All right.
Yep.
Thank you, Aidan. All right, anything else?
You had something to say, didn't you?
What?
Number 5 was
That was you.
Lisa on the beach.
That was you.
Number 6 was you. You said you had.
You said we already talked about it.
Right, but there was somebody else. That's
That was Aidan.
Well, let me switch.
Well, yeah, you're gonna pick up.
You have
No, I
more?
just want to get permission from you guys because I'm doing this sort of solo.
Oh.
I want to approach Briny Breezes, who has a gentleman with a golf cart with a great big wooden trailer behind them that picks up their trash.
Oh, I remember you telling me.
Yeah. So I just want to approach Briny Breezes because they're paying us $180,000 a year for policing. we're paying at least $15,000 a year to this landscaper to do this work. And Briny Breezes is much more on our wave of necessity, like when do we need more trash pickup versus less trash pickup? So I think it could be a nice thing. Anybody got any problems?
Sounds like a great idea.
Okay, thanks.
All right, thank you. All right, nothing else? Meeting adjourned. Thank you for coming. Now you gotta find something else to do, Terry.
No, just that,